Hey, sixth grade. This is your language lesson for Tuesday, April the 14th. Lesson 2 is due today. We're going to go over some of this in lesson 2. Just grade it, see how you're doing. This was on adverbs especially. So we're just going to look at some of your work on lesson 2. Lesson 3 is due tomorrow. Lesson 3 has to do with mostly, I think, reviewing capitalization rules. So you read the directions and see if you can do that lesson. We will go over it then tomorrow, Wednesday. All right. So this is lesson 2 that is due on Tuesday, April 14th. Also, just a reminder, if you'll notice on Wednesday, April the 15th, you have a reading lesson due. Okay. You're supposed to have lesson 4 done for then, and you will also take a quiz, quiz 1. You will take on Wednesday. That will be open book reading quiz, just like you normally do. All right. So open your language books to page. Let's get these diagrams out of the way. Page 8, lesson 2, book 610, number 8. Let's look at these diagrams. Number 9 should look like this. Please look at your diagrams, look at your sentences. If you struggle with diagrams, pick out, look at your sentence, read your sentence. The days quickly pass for the cubs and their parents. And figure out the function, the job of every word in the sentence. What is the subject? Mark the subject or underline the subject once. Days. What did the days do? They passed. That's the subject and the verb. All right? So do this. Figure out. Look in the sentence. Don't just make up a random diagram and put random words in random spaces. You will get a lot of random ones wrong if you do that. Okay? Figure it out. Figure out the subject, figure out the verb, figure out any adjectives that go with your subject or noun, all right? Figure out adverbs, figure out prepositional phrases. So I would, especially if I struggle with diagrams, I would underline days once, past twice, put parentheses around any prepositional phrases for the cubs and their parents, and label any adjectives or adverbs. Remember, prepositional phrases are full of adjectives. You have the preposition, you have the object, or in this case a compound object and preposition, and you have adjectives. Here's an adverb saying how they pass. All right, so that is number 9. That is what number 9 should look like. The days passed, or quickly passed, for the cubs and their parents. Number 10. The hound disappeared and never returned. Again, subject. What did the hound do? Hound disappeared. When you have a conjunction there, you're either going to have a compound verb or a compound sentence or a compound subject. Hound disappeared and returned. Never is an adverb saying when he returned. Never. The is an adjective. Right? So just be reviewing, be thinking about diagrams and how they should look. What kind of diagrams should you have for number 10? Number 10, Domino sprang lightly aside and the hound plunged headlong over the rugged cliff. What kind of I can't think. What kind of compound parts is the conjunction and connecting this time? Here you have 2 different sentences, right? Domino sprang lightly aside. So you diagram that. Domino sprang. How did he spring? Lightly under sprang, aside under sprang. And then you have the and, the comma, and the and. The and, take the dotted line down from the verb, and the solid line, put and on there, and the dotted line down to the verb of the next part of the compound sentence. And then diagram, the hound plunged headlong over the cliff. Hound, plunged. Headlong is an adverb. Over the rugged cliff is a prepositional phrase under plunged. So that's a compound sentence. All right, let's grade a few more in lesson 2 just to make sure you're doing it right and see how you're doing. Number 1, page 7, number 1, lesson 2 of language, 6th grade. You're supposed to underline adverbs and draw an arrow from each to the word it modifies. Adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They say how, when, where, to what extent, and sometimes why. All right? Number 1, Domino looked quite distinguished in his silvery fur and snowy ruff. His mate ran alongside him. What are the adverbs? I see quite distinguished. Distinguished would be a predicate adjective. So quite should be underlined with an arrow to the adjective distinguished. And where did his mate run? Alongside. Should be underlined with an arrow to ran. Number 3, adverbs are not and yet. Not and yet underlined with an arrow to learned. Number 6, he sprang lightly aside. What's the verb sprang? How and where did he spring? Lightly, aside, underlined with arrows to sprang. And the hound plunged headlong. Where did he plunge? Headlong. So underline headlong and put an arrow to plunged. All right, adverbs. Look at number 15 of lesson 2. This is adjectives. Circle the predicate adjectives, underline the other adjectives, and put parentheses around adjective phrases. Adjectives. Words that modify nouns and pronouns. Which one, what kind, how many, and whose are the questions they answer. 15. Underline the adjectives. Circle predicate adjectives. Put adjective phrases in parentheses. You should have these words underlined. The, morning, the, heavy. There are 3 thes. The morning underlined, both of them, and the heavy, both underlined. And you should have in parentheses of the morning sun, talking about the rays. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adjectives underlined and of the morning sun in parentheses. 21, what is gem? Predicate adjective, predicate nominative, direct object or indirect object. Mr. Harlow accused Jem of stealing his billfolded line about him. Jem received the action, so in this case, Jem is a direct object. 23, Mr. Evans solved the mystery. The mystery got solved. Here, the mystery is receiving the action, so 23 is also a direct object. Number 20, check out 20 and 22. See if you can figure those out. Jem was an honest worker. Jem was worker. Worker is predicate nominative. Jem was astonished and hurt. Those are predicate adjectives describing Jem. He was astonished, he was hurt. All right, look at the spelling. Let's just quickly do the spelling and then I'll let you go. Number 31, Easter is a joyous occasion. 32, if at first you don't succeed. 33, I would have enjoyed a carriage ride. 34, the building committee. 35, salt and sugar are similar in appearance. 36, don't feel bad, a lot of people misspell. 37, it is very awkward to walk. 38, a soft answer turneth away wrath. 39, Rebecca has a bruise, swollen, discolored spot. 40, it was impolite for Carl to interrupt. 41, Kendall was embarrassed. 42, Phil and Randy had an argument. 43, Joel just got his license to drive. 44, the little urchin used poor grammar. 45, the pump organ is an antique. 46, Arctic Ocean. 47, Great Britain. 48, neither nor. 49, a vacuum cleaner. 50, spaghetti and meatballs. One of Ellie's favorite suppers. Make sure lesson 3 is finished for Wednesday, April the 15th. Wednesday, April the 15th. Lesson 3 is due. Thank you very much.